Hello, my name is Shakira Gross, and welcome to A Dream Come True, Even on a Budget, a 12-tip webinar on how to plan your dream wedding on a budget. First, let me get started by giving you a little background about myself. Again, I am Shakira Gross, and I am founder of Shakira Gross PR. Currently, I am a graduate student at Full Sail University, completing my master's in public relations. I have worked in the public relations field of public relations for over 3 years and have loved it ever since. Besides public relations, I also do event planning on the side, from birthday parties, anniversaries to weddings. I've done them all. The biggest event that I have done is my own wedding. With a little over 200 guests and a very low budget, I made my very own dream come true. Which brings me to our presentation today. Before we begin the 12 tips, let's first talk about the I can't do this mindset. In order to begin this process, we must get rid of the I can't do this mindset. Oftentimes, we lose out on great moments that could also impact others because we are afraid. When I first thought about the idea of planning my own wedding, I said to myself, you must be crazy. You can't do this. But I'm the type of person who loves a challenge. So once I pushed aside the negative doubts, I got straight to work on planning my own wedding. So first, let's just keep calm because it's only a wedding. So let's get started. In order to begin planning a wedding, you must first set a budget. Budget setting is important because it gives an idea of what you can and cannot do. Sometimes you may want to purchase certain things, but your budget won't allow for it. Then you will either have to do away with the idea or find an alternative way of getting it done for a cheaper price. My wedding budget was $5,000. So within that budget, I had to make alternative decisions and find creative ways of getting what I want for a cheaper price. I did online researching, I found do it yourself projects, and I also appointed some of my family members to help me out. So, next is the guest list. The guest list is one of the hardest things that you will have to do. Once you and your bride or groom to be have decided on your budget, next you must decide on the number of guests that will fit in with your budget. But besides deciding on the number, you must also decide on the guests. And this is where the hardest part comes in. You may want to invite everyone you both may know, but you have to think family first, close friends next, and everyone else follow. You may have some people upset with you, but this is where you have to let them know that due to your budget, you have to make some decisions that are kind of hard. So at this point, they basically have to charge it to your head and not your heart, meaning that you didn't do this on purpose, but because of your budget, you have to save space. You may lose a couple of friends on the way, but that's okay too. And if they're really truly your friends, they'll continue to talk to you. And if not, that's okay. Next is the venue. With the venue, you have to decide whether you want it at a church, which most people say is the traditional way of getting married, or if you want it outside, a destination wedding, or anywhere that you envision. So at this point, if you have more than one venue in your mind, you have to narrow it down to at least three. Once you have your three, you can begin to call or even visit. The best way that I would say is by visiting, because then you could go in there and see your vision come into play if that's the place for you. Then you can ask questions on prices and availability. Once you find out this information, then you can make a decision on the venue you would like to go with based on the price and the availability. After this decision is made, then you can small deposit, and then you can go on during the months of planning your wedding. You can money here or there to secure your place, or once you get a big lump sum and you can go ahead and pay. Next is the food. Remember in wedding planning that your food is the most expensive purchase. Cost of food on the rise, the largest portion of your budget should be set aside just for this. With your food, you will begin to look at caterers. You can go and do tastings and get prices. And once you do all of that and you decide on who you want to go with, then you ask them their availability your specific date. Once you do all that, then you can make your final choice on your caterer, and they will also give you your contract and ask for a deposit. Now, a way that I found to save a little bit of money on the food is by buying the food yourself. Most caterers will let you buy your own food because that'll cut your price a great deal. If you buy the food and all they have to do is prepare it and set everything up, which will make everything a whole lot easier. You may find it to be a little stressful because you have to go get, but in the long run, you'll see how much money you actually save. Photography, the second most expensive thing on the list. With your photography, you have to do your research. You have to, if you know that you want videos, pictures, and more, then you have to find a photography company that also does videography, which will save you money if they are in all in one package. Do your research and you compare prices and services. Whoever has the best services for you, that's the photographer to go with. They will be your second most expensive, not as expensive as the food, but it will be expensive because of the services that you will get. Once you do all of this, decide on them and you leave a deposit or you can pay them off depending on the price. But it makes for an easier transition when it comes to planning your wedding if you're able to pay them off earlier or leave a big lump sum. The cake. With the cake, if you already know that your caterer does not do cakes at all, then this is where you'll have to decide on who will do your cake, your design, the style of the cake you want, how meaning the layers, the amount of cake you want, if you want more than one cake with 3 tiers, or what you like. With this, you'll then attend a cake tasting, And talk with your baker. If you have special allergies or anything like that, then you let your baker know, and you see if they can do an alternative. For example, if you're allergic to milk, maybe they can do without the milk, or maybe they can do it with soy, but you really have to ask questions and let them know. And also, you'll go through, once you decide on who you'll go with, you'll sign the contract just as everything else, and you'll leave a deposit. The music. Some people love the idea of the music because some just wait for what they call the celebration ending. For myself, that's all my husband talked about was the party at the end of the actual ceremony. So here you'll decide on whether you would like a DJ or band. In the aspects of saving money, a DJ would be a little cheaper than a band. However, if you already know a band, then they will probably cut you a deal. But here you'll decide on who you would like. You find out their availability. You let them know what type of music you want played, what you want for your first song, and whatever else that you want to put on the list. Next is your attire. When it comes to attire and saving money, you have to, again, research. Find the best place for you to get your bridal party's attire for a cost efficient, price to save you some money. David's Bridal is a great place to go because they have the $99 gown sale, and they also have other sales on their bridal gowns and uh, your bridesmaid and flower girl dresses. There, you'll decide, okay, you can go online and you can look for what you may like online, and you can even save it and print it out. So once you set up your meeting with try on dresses and different things, they'll have the printout with them, but you can also bring your printout to show them exactly what you loved online. As far as the men wear, you can do the men's warehouse. With the men's warehouse, it's also connected with Dave, but the thing about this company is that it's rental. So if you want to use, this is a great place for you. You also want to save money instead of renting and just have your groomsmen buy the suits, then you can start to look at your local suit stores that are also cost efficient. And you also have to think about, okay, based on the attire that I decide on, should they buy the suits because they'll be able to wear them again, or if they won't be able to wear them again, then you may want to decide to just rent them. Then, just as I said before, you schedule your times for groomsmen's fitting, your bride and bridesmaids fitting, and then all the children that are also in the wedding. You can also schedule their times and make your final selections. Once you do all of that, then you'll come to your invitations and stationery. With your invitations, this is where DIYs come in, or online vendors or local vendors. Your invitation and stationaries are the save the dates, invitation cards, response cards, and programs. With this, if for me, I mostly did DIYs because I love creating invitations and stationery. I love doing them myself because I know what I like. So I'd rather do them myself and then go somewhere to print them out. But if you want to save time, you can do online vendors also. A good online vendor that I've used numerous of times is Vistaprint. Vistaprint is a great site. You can even create your own and put it on Vistaprint, and they'll print it out for you. If you decide to go that way, with this, then you'll decide on your style and then the amount that you want as far as like your guest list. Now, with your guest list, you may have every guest written down, but if you know there's a certain amount every household, you don't have to give everyone in the household an invitation or save the date card. You can just put them as a family and put everything into the mail that way. Find your dates to send everything out. As far as your save the dates, those can be done at least 4 months before the wedding. Your invitation a month before the wedding so that everyone can RSVP and send in their cards back a week before the wedding sometimes. But if you're like me, you might want them a little bit earlier so you will already know. And then your thank you cards, you should send those out at least a week after the wedding, no more than a week after the wedding, to tell everyone thank you for your gifts and thank you for coming. Your programs, if you want to do them yourself, you can create them and also get them printed out at Vistaprint or Staples or any printing shop that you may have available around you. Next, the decorations. With the decorations, to discover what you like, discover what you want at your wedding. Do you want flowers? Do you want um, real flowers or artificial flowers? Do you want candles? Do you want lights? However you want it to, anything like that. You have to decide what you like. You have to decide on what kind of decorations you want. And then once you do all of this, then you'll begin to start looking for places to buy this. Because we're talking about saving money, a great place online is Oriental Trading. With that, you can find a lot of the wedding planning and event planning material on this website. You can also find gifts for the bridal party and different things like that. And they come in bulk, so you don't have to necessarily pay for them separately. And you can purchase them along as you go on to another great place is Party City. You can do this online, or if you have one close to you, then you can go and visit the store and find a lot of this will also help you out as far as your table settings. If your caterer doesn't provide table settings for everyone, you can get your guest table settings. So say you don't want them to have real dishes, then you can get the plates and silverware that look real, but they're actually plastic. Those are just as elegant as the real things. So, and they will save you a lot of money. The same thing with your cups and different things like that when it comes to saving money. So, Oriental Trading and Party City are just a few, but I'm sure there's many more out there that you can also look at. Next would be your favors. With your favors, you decide on what you want to give your guests as a gift for them to remember your wedding. You can decide on a CD or candy boxes, a candy table where they can put their own candy in a box, or anything of that nature. Lotion, which is actually new to me, little wine bottles, or sometimes juice bottles, candles, anything like that. Decide on what type of favors you want to give your guests. Then you decide whether you want to buy them, pay for someone else to do them, or do it yourself. If you do it yourself, then you can start to buy the material early on. And once it gets closer to the wedding, you can even appoint family members, just as I did, and work together, get a party or something, and begin to put your favors and everything together. And you can store them in a big plastic container. That way you can put them to the side and say, okay, that's one thing I have off my list that I don't have to worry about because I've already done it. Um, your favors don't have to be big. They can be really small. They don't have to be the most elaborate, most expensive gift in the world. Just the little things are what counts. That's what makes people remember your day the most. Lastly, you'll do your finishing touches. With your finishing touches, you'll begin to finalize everything. You finalize with your vendors, meaning those who own the venue, the DJ, the caterer, the band, the photographer, everyone. You have to make sure that they have all the information they need, that they remembered everything that you ask of them, that your needs will be met. You also have to make sure that you have made a payment with them, at least of the. If you want to save on the headache, I would say make sure that before the wedding, because then that's the last thing you have to worry about during. Some people wait until the wedding to give the last amount of the check that they have for the vendor, which is a big headache. The other thing you want to finalize on is your guest list. Make sure that see if everyone has returned their RSVP cards, and see if you haven't missed anyone, or that you will have, or those people will be able to come. Sometimes you may be able to add some people to the list last minute, but to keep the headache down, you may want to just stick with what you have. When it comes to planning your wedding on your own, sometimes we tend to look at the details all day long. Make sure that this is done. Make sure that that is done. To avoid the headache, again, you must appoint someone to be your planner for that day, meaning the person that is closest to you, but that's not in your wedding, but has been around the whole time and during the process, and they know you, they know what you want, they know what you like. Even if they are in the wedding, they could still help you and put some touches here or there. But you want to avoid planning your wedding because it's supposed to be your special day and not a headache. Laugh when things get crazy. For me, the day of the wedding was the most calm day for me because I decided early on that I wasn't going to worry about anything. If anything didn't go exactly like I wanted, that was okay too because I knew what the day was about. I knew why I was doing it. Even though there was a lot of people there, I just looked at my groom to be, my husband to be, and said, okay, this is about us and us making this commitment to be one in front of our family, friends, and most of all, God. And so you don't worry about those last minute details or those things that can potentially drive you crazy because anything will do it. And even with your phone, if you would like to, you can set your phone to the side or have someone in charge of your phone. Let them answer the phone. Let them make the decision for you. If they can't make the decision, then they can bring it to you. Other than that, let them do it because you really don't need the stress. And the last thing you must do is make the decision on what should be there and what shouldn't. What is most important to you? What would you really want to happen? Sometimes things, again, don't go your way. And so you decide, hey, keep it or just don't worry about it at all. So you decide what's more important. Are these things more important or is marrying your mate more important? So these are my final tips on how to plan your own wedding. 12 easy tips on how to do it yourself, even when you're on a budget. Again, I say it's not a easy task and it's as hard as you would make it. Remember to stay calm and remember why you're doing it. And even though you may feel like you can't do it, remember that you can still do it. That's where the challenge comes in. You push forth through that doubt in your mind that's telling you, hey, I can't do it. So I thank you for attending this webinar. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My website is www.cagrosspr.com, or you can email me at shakirogross@gmail.com. I also have provided my Facebook link and my Twitter link. So if you have any questions or you want to know more about any topic, feel free to contact me. Thank you for attending. Have a great day.